Good morning, Chicago Cubs fans, and we are back with another edition of Cubs Daily. My name is Steven Ryan. We had the first major trade happen in Major League Baseball. We are going to discuss that trade a little bit, and then we're going to discuss the fallout and what it means for the Chicago Cubs. We will preview the Crosstown Classic, and we'll get into some trade rumors that we have been hearing. But before we get into all that, I want to give everyone a big time thank you for hopping on into the channel, taking the time to watch the videos, share your thoughts in the comment section, and of course, if you've already liked the video, shout out to you. And if you're enjoying the content, make sure you smash that thumbs up button, and then of course, subscribe to the channel at Here Cubs Daily. We got all the breaking news for the Chicago Cubs, we got prospects, we got all the game previews and reviews, all happen right here on Cubs Daily. So before we get into that, let's have some fun here. Looking for relief. That is what the Cubs are doing here, because I've mentioned it here on the channel multiple times before. We need relief pitching. We also need a starter or two as well. That is what this Cubs team is in desperate need of. The offense has struggled here recently, but you guys know the offense is going to come in ebbs and flows. So ideally, if the Cubs can get two starters and a reliever, I am game. And of course, the more arms you can add for high leverage postseason baseball, the better, in my opinion. Now, the two teams we are in reference here are talking about the Orioles and the Rays. We are looking into their teams for some relief pitching. The Orioles have clawed their way back, kind of into the wild card race. They're still several games behind and would need to hop a few teams as well. So they are definitely reaching out and looking to sell off some pieces. The Cubs are specifically interested in Sir Anthony Dominguez. And if you guys and gals know that he was a former Philly, he could throw upwards of 100 miles an hour. He has great stuff. He has gone through a bit of a hiccup here the past few seasons, getting hit a little bit more, but he's back to his old self this year, having a very solid season for the Orioles. And on the flip side, we've reached out to Tampa Bay. I know we've talked about Taj Bradley before, right? And of course, Peter Fairbanks. We referenced him in a video a few days ago, and Peter Fairbanks is another reliever the Cubs are keeping their eyes on. Now, the Rays are a little bit above 500, so they're a little bit closer in the wild card standing, but, they're kind of hesitant to make a deal as they keep getting pitchers injured. They just demoted Taj Bradley down to AAA, so they need arms to eat up these major league innings, and you don't necessarily want to give up on the season because, as we all know, if you can get into the postseason, regardless of your seed, and you can start playing good baseball, you can make a run to the World Series. So you definitely want to keep that option on the table for as long as possible. But we have less than a week until the deadline, so decisions are going to have to be made from these teams in that sense. Now, a team we speculated to be selling, I think, has officially waved the white flag, and that is the Arizona Diamondbacks. They are, according to Bob Nightingale, looking to get off 5 or 6 players from their roster, right? A lot of expiring contracts, one being Josh Naylor. He was traded to the Mariners yesterday for prospects number 13 and 16. Let's take a little closer look at the deal. This was reported by Jeff Passan. Josh Naylor going to the Mariners for left-handed pitcher Brandon Garcia and right-handed pitcher Ashton Izzy. So these prospects in the Mariner systems were 13 and 16. So for a rental, I'm not sure where they end up in the grand scheme of things, but they are not the strongest prospects for the Mariners either. And again, Mr. Naylor is a rental. So there's a lot of conflicting things here, right? So in the trade deadline of 22, 23, and 24, no top 100 prospects have been traded for a rental. Good news, right? When you're thinking about Eugenio Suarez and Merrill Kelly and all the other guys who are on expiring deals. But new history as well, no player with over 35 home runs has been traded at the deadline as well. So kind of new territory on both sides here. What will someone have to give up to get Eugenio on the squad? And Merrill Kelly's having a very solid season as well. So the Diamondbacks are looking to reload here in that sense by their expiring pieces. They also have Zach Gallen available for trade, and they're taking calls on pretty much all of the outfielders that aren't named Corbin Carroll. Now, what does this mean for the Chicago Cubs in the sense of Josh Naylor going to the Mariners? You would think maybe nothing as direct, but I do think it does have an impact because the Mariners were a team that had some connections to Eugenio Suarez as well. Now, if they were going to get him, I think they would have just done a two-player deal, right? They would have got Suarez and Naylor together. I don't think they're going to be making separate deals. Again, you never know. I've personally never seen it before, but either way, I think that takes the Mariners out of the Suarez running, and that kind of leaves it down to four teams. Now, if you've heard other teams, please let me know in the comment section, but the four teams I've heard Suarez connected to is the Yankees. I've heard him connected to the Cubs. I've heard him connected to the Brewers as well. And, of course, a reunion in Cincinnati. So I'm not sure how much it's going to cost for Mr. Suarez, but it could cost a little bit more than we are anticipating. I don't think the Cubs are going to be giving up any of their top five prospects for just a rental. So that does eliminate Casey and Alcantara and, Rojas and Wiggins, etc. And Ballesteros, appreciate that from that comment the other day. But that is kind of what I've been hearing recently. I've also heard on the radio this morning on the way to the gym that the Cubs are more interested in Merrill Kelly than they are Zach Gallen. That could definitely be due to the types of season each player is having. Zach Gallen is struggling a lot more than Merrill Kelly, almost giving up 2 more whole runs in that sense. So it looks like there's another team out the door for Suarez. Now, what's it going to cost and who's going to give up the most? That is the real question here. I know the Yankees are in on every deal, it feels like, but what prospects are they going to give up to go and get Suarez and Adam? And again, I think if the Cubs are to get Eugenio Suarez, I think Merrill Kelly would be paired along and coming for the trip as well. So we do have a fun series this weekend, a big 6-game stretch coming up for the Cubs. Yeah, after the day off yesterday, we got 3 against the White Sox, who are playing really, really good since the All-Star break. And then we head up to Milwaukee for 3 more against the division-leading Brewers in a big series. We got 8 games left against the Brewers. We will make sure to preview all that here on Cubs Daily. But let's talk about this one against the White Sox. So we know tonight for sure it's going to be Shota Imanaga. He's going to be facing Adrian Hauser in that matchup. We're going to have Cade Horton going tomorrow. I'm not sure who's going to be going for the White Sox. And then it's to be determined for Sunday's matchup. And then, unfortunately, the way it sits right now, unless a deal happens, today or maybe tomorrow, it feels like that is going to be another bullpen game. That is when it would be scheduled. Again, not much updates. Javier Assad did pitch to Miguel Amaya down in very, very low A rookie ball. So it's good to see that they're kind of getting ramped back up. But again, it's the very, very early stages of their return for those guys. That's a big bat the Cubs have been missing as well. Miguel Amaya was very underrated. Everyone talks about the season of Carson Kelly, and he is having a fantastic season. But paired alongside Carson Kelly was Miguel Amaya, who had one of the best batting averages with runners in scoring positions for this Cubs team before that oblique injury. Hopefully we get Kyle Tucker back in the lineup tonight as well. And again, that's another thing, right? Kyle Tucker has been struggling OPS-wise here in the month of July. So far as a Cub, in April, he had a sensational OPS. May, it dipped a little bit. June was really high. July was really low. So hopefully, if he continues that trend, that means August, he's going to bounce back. He's too good of a player to not bounce back. I'm not totally concerned. Again, a lot of ebbs and flows when it comes to the baseball season. So Cubs' goal for this weekend is to take 2 of 3. Ideally, we obviously sweep them. But again, you got to be careful with these upstart second half teams, right? The White Sox know they're not playing for much. They're going to be playing hard this weekend to ruin our season as much as they possibly can. The difference between this year's White Sox team and last year's White Sox team is the direction. This team has a direction, they have a goal and a focus, and that's just to develop their young players like Teal and Meadroff and Colson Montgomery, who's been hitting the well ball. He just hit his second home run. And again, they dropped 11 runs on the Rays, who notoriously have a decent staff. So again, we got to be careful with this White Sox team. You can't overlook them looking forward to the Brewers. because if you do, and the Brewers get the Marlins too, you know, the Marlins have been better, but they're still not a very firm ball club, and they're on the precipice of trading away some of their pitching. So either way, it's a big time battle this weekend, a lot bigger than you would think just looking at the records. Obviously, the Cubs want to win the Crosstown Classic, and you know they kind of want to keep their foot on the pedal as the best team in the city, but they need to keep their foot on the pedal to stay pace with the Brewers, who have been playing unconscious baseball. So that's going to do it for us here at Cubs Daily. Again, if you're enjoying the content, throw a thumbs up on the channel. We truly appreciate it. And of course, subscribe to the channel if you are truly enjoying it. And I'll talk to you guys soon.